I had heard about brain gauge at an event recently, but I want you to describe to the audience what exactly is brain gauge.
Yeah, well, brain gauge is a product of about 30 or 40 years of research that started with basically looking at patterns of activity, patterns of brain activity. And for 20 years, we were looking at patterns of brain activity in the laboratory. And we realized that the best way to test brain activity and brain function would be if we could deliver sensory stimuli through the skin, and more specifically, very precise and very accurate stimuli to the skin, and deliver 2 points, and basically 2 points to the skin which project to two places in the brain that talk to each other. And we can look at we basically look at how those places interact, and that gives us a lot of insight into brain function. And really the way to think about it is that we probe brain function, but we don't do it, and we don't do it with language. It's a non-language based method. And there's a lot of online cognitive tools that simply don't work all that well. But you can really probe brain function a lot better by using sensory input, which bypasses language and just delivers very simple stimuli, or very complex stimuli, which have we ask very simple questions. And the brain gauge itself has lost about 100 pounds in 15 years, because the very first time we came up with this idea, we were struggling with how to build the device, and a scientist engineer moved in across the hall from me. I'm in the Department of Biomedical Engineering at the University of North Carolina, and Bob Dennis moved in across the hall, and he said, "What can I do to help you, with your research?" And I said, "Well, we can figure out a way to deliver two stimuli very accurately to the skin, because right now all we've got is this 100-pound beast to deliver one stimulus to the skin, and it costs about $30,000." So, we spent a lot of time talking about that, and he came up with some ideas, and one of the ideas was to pitch it to a group of students in a class who were doing, basically their design project in the spring semester. And, so they spent their whole spring semester trying to build this device. And like most senior undergraduates, like what you would expect from most senior undergraduates, they tried very, very hard, and they failed. And because they were spending a lot of time being seniors in the spring semester. And then Bob took a weekend and took some duct tape and some paper clips and built something that basically worked. And that was the first prototype. And from there, but that device was very, very heavy. And we've reduced this to something that's the size of a computer mouse. It gets called a computer mouse by mistake quite often, but it's basically, this device that looks, I'm holding it up to you, but it looks like a computer mouse, and has two probe tips that vibrate. They vibrate your first two, your digit 2 and digit 3, your index finger and the finger next to it. So it's very simple. It delivers stimuli to the probe, to the fingertips, and it basically activates places in the brain that make you feel certain things. And when you feel those things, we ask you questions like, which one is bigger? Which one lasts longer? Which one came first? So none of the questions are very difficult, but the stimuli that we deliver, which are based on 30 years of animal studies, can be quite complex, but it gives us a lot of information about what's going on in your brain. So that's the short version.
Yeah, no, listen, when you talk about brain, I'm sure there's always long versions of everything. We could probably spend hours upon that, on the most complicated object in the known universe, the human brain.